Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell is a book about the hidden forces that shape our success. Gladwell examines the culture and environment that contribute to the success of exceptional people, from top athletes to successful business people. He also examines the idea of the 10,000 hour rule, which is the idea that it takes 10,000 hours of dedicated practice to become an expert in any field. In the end, he concludes that success is less about the individual's talents, but rather the opportunities and resources available to them and how hard they actually work. If you want to get ahead of the pack, or at least be ahead of your own expectations quickly, it's going to require you putting in the type of work that most people just aren't willing to do. In addition to this, you also need to become painfully aware of where your life is headed if you don't put in that work to get these results, and what it's going to look like. And realizing it's not what you lack, but the skills that you can develop at any time if you're willing to actually put in the work. Being average is more competitive by definition. I mean, most people reside there. They reside in average. Think about it, the exact same subpar employment opportunities are all up for grabs. The same raises that don't keep up with inflation are up for grabs. And we all compete for the same status symbols: largest home, newest car, best iPhone. The typical is secure. It's where your brain wants to lie for survival purposes. But despite being cozy, nothing significant develops here. I spent years and years at my desk job watching the revolving door, the same type of person shuffling through, living what I appeared to be my future if I went even another year without making any changes. And that terrified the shit out of me. And not because these weren't decent people that were happy and lived comfortable lives. It was just, I knew that I wasn't living my truth. And I knew that if I kept doing that year after year, I would look back and I would just hate myself that I didn't make adjustments and that I just stuck to being comfortable and not actually challenging myself to go after things that I actually wanted to achieve. This lit a fire in my ass, who for the longest time had the hardest time answering the simple question of, what do you want to do with your life? And struggling to actually come up with a decent answer that I was really sincere about. It just got to the point where I was no longer willing to accept what was in front of me. And it just forced me to level up, and that fear and that anger of what would come if I didn't figure it out quickly was what just ultimately drove me to get there. This fear has kept me motivated to continue to make these videos twice a week, which takes up just as much time as my full-time job, quite honestly. And as I spend these weekends filming and editing these videos, after having worked a 40-50 hour work week in the office, I'm continuing to be motivated by that fear of where my life will be years from now if I don't do this. This fear keeps me motivated when I'm in the gym and I'm not happy with how my body looks. And I know that I want to be good looking for summer, and I want to have my six-pack that I had in my mid-20s. And just continuing to use that fear and anger of what I currently don't have to what I can get is what has just been driving me. And if this sounds like you, don't get stuck in the same pattern of thinking, because not only will you not get there quickly, you will not get there at all. And like I said, I spent my life not being able to answer the simple question of what do you want for your life this whole time. And whenever I'd ask for help, that was really the first question people would ask me, and I wouldn't have a concrete answer, and that would hinder me from getting the results, and that would just prolong the time for me to get there because I wouldn't know where I was going. And what I found was, if you're also experiencing this, it's a lot easier to figure out what you don't want. And the best way to figure this out is just through observation and experience. In college, I had 8 internships. I worked for Quicksilver, I worked for Jimmy Kimmel, I did all these different things, and I figured out what industries I liked, what I liked doing, what I didn't like doing, and things that I thought I would like doing. Once I got in, I interned there, I realized that that was not what I wanted, and that saved me time from finishing my college degree in that field. And then that allowed me to pivot and try to just slightly narrow where I wanted to take my future. And after all this trial and experimentation over the years, I've finally been able to answer that question, and that is make YouTube videos and create content and build a community that I can deliver value around and help people overcome obstacles with their mental health, their physical health, and their financial health. Because I've been through the ringer in all these departments, and I know what pitfalls to avoid, and I want to help people avoid those pitfalls and get where they want to go as quick as possible. And what really solidified me being able to answer this question and then move quickly is I got out a journal, and I spent 30 minutes writing down all the things in life I did not like about my life, the things that I did enjoy, and the fears I had, and my biggest, wildest ambitions, and what would happen in the worst case scenario if I tried to get them, and what would happen if I failed to even attempt them. So that's what I want you guys to do. I want you to get out a journal and for 30 minutes, Write about all the things you do not want for your life. Who do you want to steer clear from being? What are your biggest fears if you continue living the life you're currently living? What does your ideal schedule not entail? And then with all this information, you're going to develop an anti-vision for yourself. And once you have this anti-vision, it's going to make it a lot easier to focus on the goals that you actually want to achieve. And this is because your anti-vision is going to make you extremely uncomfortable, and it's going to remind you of the life that you are going to live if you don't continue to move quickly to work towards achieving your goals. Write down your plan of action for the coming weeks and months, and then have that aside your anti-vision so you can focus on what you're trying to accomplish that may make you uneasy and scared, and think of it that is hard. But you also look at your anti-vision and you see what will happen if you don't go for it. And that's what ultimately has helped me and motivated me in times where I'm just very exhausted to make these videos, because I know that if I continue to put in the work, even though I'm not seeing the results now, I will get to where I want to go. And this has allowed me to break away from all the restrictions and limiting beliefs that were holding me back throughout the years. I was tired of falling victim to staying stagnant. I looked back at my previous 5-year self, and I was essentially at the exact same spot I was then. And it fucking freaked me out. It pissed me off. And I knew that I needed to take quick, smart action moving forward if I was ever going to see any type of change. And I'm seeing now to get ahead of everyone else quickly, and more importantly though, become the person you want to become and get ahead of the person you were even yesterday, it requires you to do the same boring shit over and over and over. And going back to Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, the same thing that all these extraordinary people were doing, where they were sticking it out and doing the same boring shit each and every day for years at a time, when most people would quit early on because they didn't see short-term results. But the overachievers maintain a high level of mental stamina, and they're able to get through those rough initial periods of nothingness to finally get that exponential growth towards the end. And these people that gamify it and make it a habit are the ones that get ahead of everyone else quickly. It's a lot easier to create these positive behaviors when you find ways to reduce friction in your life. So let me give you a few examples here. So let's say you want to get ahead of everyone else by summer and have those 6-pack abs and get back in shape, but the closest gym to you is 30 miles away and it's constant traffic and it's not even worth the effort, and you find every excuse as to why you can't do it. All right, get some home equipment. Reduce the friction of having to make that travel time a thing. Friction makes these positive habits harder to perform, and you will come up with every reason in the book not to do it if there's too much friction. And so your ability to get past friction is ultimately what's going to decide whether or not you get ahead of everyone else this year. The 1% are constantly choosing their way of life and not letting friction stand in the way of their goals, while the other 99% are doing the exact opposite. So you must be willing to take the actions that most people are not willing to do to get the results that most people will never get. Growing and changing is painful. Uncertainty can cause extreme anxiety, and that's why most people choose not to grow and change. They stay exactly where they are because it's comfortable for them. But at least for me, I know it hurts far more to stay where you're at and become complacent and then see yourself 5 years from now in the exact same spot. Just recognize that most people are never willing to do this, and the faster that you act towards going after the things that most people aren't willing to even attempt, the quicker you're going to get ahead of them. This video brought you value, please hit that like button and also subscribe. And share it with someone. Share it with a friend that you want to level up this year. Get them pissed off. Get them motivated to want to work hard and achieve the goals that you know that they actually want to achieve, but maybe they're too scared or they have these self-limiting beliefs like I had for all these years. Please check out the links in my description, and perhaps you want to watch another one of my videos. They'll be right up here in the cards. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.